Before you do anything else today, I need you to feel something. Right now, while you're watching this, while your air conditioner is burning through electricity you're paying for, your utility bill is quietly getting heavier. 6 feet below where you're sitting, the ground stays locked at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It was 65 degrees last August when the heat index cracked 108. It was 65 degrees in February during the polar vortex. It will be 65 degrees the day you die. It never changes. And the people who profit from your electric bill made sure you never found out what that means. Your air conditioner, that loud machine humming outside your window, has a coefficient of performance of 3.5. For every unit of electricity you burn, you get 3.5 units of cooling. That's excellent by industry standards. But buried pipe earth cooling systems, measured by researchers across 47 installations, recorded an average coefficient of performance of 28.7. Not 3.5, but 28.7. The only electricity required is for a fan that draws less power than a household light bulb. That number, 28 versus 3, represents billions vanishing once you understand what's beneath your lawn. Oak Ridge National Laboratory doesn't speculate. One of the most respected scientific institutions on the planet has been monitoring ground temperatures for decades. Cold, hard, documented data. And their findings don't waver. Not by 1/10 of a degree, not across seasons, not across decades. Below 6 to 10 feet, soil maintains a temperature equal to the annual mean air temperature of that region. Constant. Unwavering. Proven. In Chicago, 65 degrees, year-round. In Atlanta, 62 degrees. In Denver, 58 degrees. In Phoenix, where summer surfaces crack 115 degrees and the air shimmers like liquid, the ground 6 feet down holds at 67 degrees. In Minneapolis, where winters are savage enough to freeze exposed skin in under a minute, 52 degrees underground. Unchanging. The surface above can swing 125 degrees across a single calendar year. Underground? Barely a whisper. The reason is thermal mass. Soil weighs between 100 and 125 pounds per cubic foot. Moving that mass by even a single degree requires 20 to 30 British thermal units per cubic foot. The Earth is so dense, so patient, so thermally stubborn, that it absorbs summer heat at a pace that borders on geological. By the time surface warmth actually penetrates 6 feet down, the season has already changed. Scientists call this thermal lag, a 6 to 8 week delay between what's happening on the surface and what the Earth registers below. It's why root cellars kept vegetables fresh for centuries. It's why wine caves maintain perfect aging temperatures without a single moving part. It's why what I'm about to show you isn't a new idea. It's an ancient one. And that makes what happened to it so much more disturbing. But here's the problem. We were never supposed to remember any of this. What if I told you that every civilization in human history, independently on every inhabited continent, discovered the same cooling technology? Persians, Bakumans, Koreans, indigenous Americans, 5,000 years, every hot climate. Same answer. Every time. And then one corporation in one decade made all of it disappear. Not because it stopped working, because it couldn't be sold. 2,400 years ago, in the middle of a desert that regularly hits 120 degrees Fahrenheit, engineers were storing ice. Not in winter, not in the mountains, not with any technology you'd recognize. In the scorching, merciless heart of summer. In the desert. Ice. The structures they built were called yakchal, translated directly, ice pit. But calling them ice pits is like calling the Sistine Chapel a painted ceiling. These were precision-engineered thermodynamic facilities. Many of them are still standing today, still functional, while every air conditioning unit manufactured this year will be landfill within 2 decades. At the ancient city of Yazd in central Iran, you can walk inside domed chambers that rise 60 feet into the desert sky. Their walls are 6 feet thick at the base. They were constructed from a material called sarouge, a composite of sand, clay, lime, goat hair, and egg whites. That modern material testing confirms achieves insulation values exceeding standard fiberglass bat insulation. Let that land. Ancient Persian engineers, mixing goat hair and egg whites, accidentally out-engineered what we're installing in American homes right now. But the walls were only half the system. The Yakchal connected underground to networks of tunnels called kanats, hand-dug passages stretching miles into distant mountains. Originally designed to carry water, these tunnels served a second, equally brilliant purpose. Air flowing through miles of underground passage emerged at 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit regardless of what the desert above was doing. That already cooled air flowed directly into the Yakchal chambers. Archaeological teams equipped with modern temperature monitoring equipment have documented Yakchal interiors maintaining 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit while outside temperatures exceeded 115 degrees. They were manufacturing and storing ice in the desert for an entire civilization, using nothing but geometry, earthwork, and the physics of thermal mass. No electricity, no refrigerant, no service contract. No monthly bill, just understanding. And here's what should keep you up at night. They didn't have differential equations. They didn't have thermodynamics textbooks. They figured this out through observation, through generations of watching how the Earth behaves, through a kind of intimate, almost reverent relationship with the ground beneath their feet that modern civilization has completely, almost deliberately, abandoned. We didn't discover this technology. We forgot it, and someone helped us forget. Rome knew, Korea knew, Native Americans knew. Every single civilization that survived a brutal climate arrived at the same answer. And then in less than one human lifetime, less than 30 years, it was gone from Western construction entirely. Not disproven, not replaced by something better, erased. The Persians weren't alone, not even close. At the Villa of the Mysteries outside Pompeii, archaeologists found something it took years to properly interpret. Channels built into the famous Roman hippocaust system that weren't designed for heating. They were designed for cooling. Air passages extended from beneath the floors directly into the hillside behind the structure, creating passive circulation that pulled cool underground air through living spaces during summer months. Infrared thermography studies of excavated Roman cooling channels showed temperature differentials of 15 degrees Celsius from surface conditions. 15 degrees of cooling. Passively. No moving parts. No electricity. No technician visit. The Roman engineer Frontinus wrote explicitly about subterranean air passages providing summer comfort in elite homes across the empire. This was documented, published. Celebrated Roman engineering. Then there's Korea. The Ondol system dates back 3,000 years. Historical records in the Samguk Sagi, one of Korea's oldest surviving texts, describe underfloor air channels maintaining interior temperatures between 64 and 72 degrees through brutal summers and winters alike. And in the American Southwest, the very continent that American HVAC codes now govern, native peoples built semi-subterranean pit houses for 8,000 years. Archaeological evidence confirms these structures maintained comfortable temperatures through desert summers using earth contact cooling alone. 8,000 years. That's longer than written language has existed. Persians, Romans, Koreans, indigenous Americans. 5,000 years of proven engineering validated independently across every inhabited continent. Every civilization that mastered a hot climate arrived at the same solution. Every single one. And then, in less than 1 century, it vanished from Western construction so completely that licensed contractors today have never heard the words thermal labyrinth. Not because they're uneducated, not because they're incurious, because the words were removed from their education. And this is exactly why it disappeared. Pittsburgh. One engineer, one invention. Within 30 years, 5,000 years of human cooling knowledge would be classified as primitive, unsanitary, and unsuitable for modern life. The machine didn't just arrive, it rewrote history. A young engineer named Willis Carrier is standing in a Pittsburgh printing plant trying to solve a humidity problem. His invention, the apparatus for treating air, works. And more importantly, it can be sold, packaged, installed, maintained, upgraded, replaced, built, again and again and again. The Carrier Corporation understood something that Persian engineers never needed to think about. They weren't just selling a machine. They were selling a new definition of what it meant to be civilized. By the 1920s, their Weathermaker campaign had launched. It was waging a philosophical war against an entire category of human knowledge. Their published materials explicitly framed passive cooling techniques as primitive and unsanitary. A 1930 Carrier Engineering Corporation manual dismissed earth contact cooling as suitable only for cellars and food storage. Industry publications celebrated the triumph of machine over nature, as though dependence on electricity was advancement, not fragility. The machine had arrived. For the machine to win forever, everything that came before had to be made invisible. In 1920, the first model mechanical building codes emerged, with HVAC industry reps at the drafting table. By 1945, mechanical cooling was standardized as the only acceptable approach to thermal comfort in America. Not the best, the only approach. Passive alternatives disappeared from architectural education rapidly. ASHRAE codified mechanical cooling as the baseline for every thermal comfort formula, standard, and licensing exam. By 1980, fewer than 3% of American architecture programs taught passive cooling strategies. 3%. Think about what that means. An entire generation of architects, engineers, and contractors, the people who build every structure in America, graduated without ever hearing about a technology that had kept human beings comfortable for 5,000 years. The technology wasn't disproven. It wasn't replaced by something better. It was systematically removed from professional memory. Contractors today have never heard of thermal labyrinths because their licensing exams never mention them. Building inspectors cannot approve what their training never covered. An entire field of validated engineering vanished not through failure, but through deliberate, profitable exclusion. And the machine kept running, and the bills kept coming, and nobody asked why. But the physics never changed, not by a single degree. While American codes were quietly burying this knowledge, something was happening in Europe that the industry hoped you'd never find out about. They kept building these systems, and the data they collected over 30 years is absolutely damning. The Passive House Institute in Darmstadt, Germany doesn't deal in theory. Since 2005, researchers have monitored 847 residential earth tube installations. Real homes, real families, real German winters and real German summers. Real data collected over 2 decades. The results don't just support earth cooling, they indict the American regulatory framework that blocked it. These systems deliver an average cooling capacity of 3.2 kilowatts, while reducing mechanical cooling demand by 89%. Homes maintain interior temperatures between 72 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit without air conditioning, even when outside temperatures hit 95 degrees. Average payback period, 12 years. After that, the cooling is free. For decades. Potentially for your entire lifetime. German building code doesn't just tolerate earth tube systems. It provides efficiency credits for installing them, formally acknowledging what American code refuses to admit. In Austria, the national building standard requires thermal labyrinth analysis for any structure exceeding 1,000 square meters. At the Allgemeine Krankenhaus Hospital in Vienna, one of the largest hospitals in Europe, an earth tube system has provided 450 kilowatts of cooling to critical care units since 1994. 30 years. Cooling a hospital, continuously, without failure. Maintenance records show cleaning required only every 5 to 7 years. Operating cost, 2 euro cents per kilowatt hour compared to 8 to 12 cents for conventional cooling. Think about that. A hospital, critical care units, 30 years of uninterrupted operation at a fraction of the cost. And in Switzerland, a 15-year longitudinal study from ETH Zurich, one of the most prestigious technical universities on Earth, found zero degradation in earth tube system performance across the entire monitoring period. Not some degradation, not acceptable degradation. Swiss engineers also dismantled the radon argument, the exact safety concern that American regulators invoke most aggressively to block these systems. Activated charcoal filtration combined with ultraviolet treatment reduces radon to background levels. The full solution costs under $100. That's the insurmountable safety concern. $100. So let's be completely explicit about what we're looking at. 3 decades of European performance data, thousands of successful installations, systems operating in hospitals, homes, and schools, zero degradation over 15 years, the primary regulatory objections solved for under $100. And American building codes still treat this technology as if it doesn't exist. The question isn't whether it works. The question is who profits from you believing it doesn't. The Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute spent $47.3 million on political activities in a single year. A single year. The committee that rejected earth tube systems in 2019 was 67% composed of HVAC manufacturers. This isn't conspiracy theory. These are public records. And the math underneath all of it is brutally simple. Follow the money, all the way down. In 2019, ASHRAE Technical Committee 6.8 rejected a formal proposal to create a performance pathway for earth tube systems in American Building Code. Their stated reason? Insufficient domestic performance data. They cited insufficient domestic data while explicitly setting aside 30 years of European documentation from hundreds of monitored installations. 67% of the committee's membership are from HVAC manufacturers. The Building Officials Association of Florida opposed a 2021 state code amendment recognizing passive cooling, citing inspection complexity and liability. Every thermal labyrinth installed means an air conditioning unit that never gets sold, a compressor that never needs replacing, a refrigerant charge never topped off, a service call never made, a warranty never honored. The $29 billion annual residential cooling market thrives on dependency, complexity, and systems designed to fail and be replaced. Materials costing $200 and running on 50 watts can't support an industry built on $1,000 units, consuming 3,000 watts and failing on the hottest days. Codes aren't written for your comfort. They're written for their revenue, counting on your ignorance to make it work. But physics doesn't care about lobbying or votes. 2 meters beneath your feet, the ground holds a steady, constant temperature from before the first AC unit was made. And you can use it today. Here's exactly how. The system itself is almost insultingly straightforward. You bury smooth wall HDPE or PVC pipe, typically 200 to 300 millimeters in diameter, and run it 30 to 60 meters through the earth. 2 meters down, below the frost line, into the thermal mass that doesn't care what month it is. Summer air enters hot. It exits cool. Winter air enters frigid. It exits tempered. The earth does the work. You build the pathway. That's the entire transaction. The pipe material, a couple $100. Less than a single month of aggressive air conditioning. The excavation costs more in labor than money, assuming you're willing to dig. A weekend with a rented trencher, and the physically hard part is finished. What you're building is a very slow breath. Air moves through at 2 to 4 meters per second. Fast enough for real heat transfer, slow enough to fully absorb the Earth's temperature. The pipe slopes at a gentle 2% grade, so condensation drains rather than pools. Stagnant water is the enemy. Moving water finds its way out. The intake sits at least 15 meters from the house, elevated slightly above grade. A filter catches debris. At the house end, MERV 13 filtration. And if you want complete peace of mind, a UVC treatment stage for mold spores. A small inline fan, 50 to 80 watts, less than your bathroom exhaust fan, keeps air moving when natural convection isn't sufficient. That's your only electrical load, 50 watts, replacing a 3,000 watt compressor. Now, radon. The concern regulators use most aggressively to block these systems. Let's give it the straight, honest answer it deserves. The same earth that cools your air can exhale radioactive gas in certain geologies. This is real. It requires management. An activated charcoal canister, $40 annually, achieves over 95% reduction, confirmed by EPA testing protocols. Add a radon detector at the outlet. Test quarterly until you understand your site, then test annually. That's the monster under the regulatory bed. $40 a year. Geometry matters as much as materials. Gentle curves instead of sharp bends. Proper drainage slope. Not optional, not approximate, exact. Intake positioned away from dryer vents and exhaust sources. Sand bedding for stable thermal contact. Careful backfill to eliminate air pockets, because air pockets are thermal dead zones. Mark every inch of the pipe's route, because in 5 years you will absolutely forget where it runs. The single most common reason earth tube systems fail isn't the physics, it isn't the radon, it isn't the soil type or the pipe material. It's water management. On a humid summer day, air passing through cool underground pipes drops below its dew point. Condensation forms, sometimes gallons per day in muggy climates. When managed correctly, this is actually a bonus. The condensation captures airborne particles, and the air that emerges isn't just cooler, it's dehumidified, often dropping from 80% relative humidity to 50% or lower. When drainage fails and water pools and stagnates, you've built a mold incubator instead of a cooling system.